Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever and wherever you are. On this week's episode of Greetings From, we discuss Activision-Blizzard laying off 800 people, our thoughts on Apex Legends, first impressions of The Division 2 and Devil May Cry 5, and finally, the various pigs in video games. Also, we answer one of our first questions from a listener. All that and more. Enjoy!
Greetings, travelers. It is February 16th, 2019, and this is the Greetings From podcast. My name is Rebecca Faye, and as always, I am joined by my two very good friends. First, do you believe in life after love, Miss Olivia Quinn?
I do. Yep. Go for it. I love 80s pop tunes. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have been blessed by Cher this day. Blessings from Cher always, forever.
And also with you.
Thank you. And I am also joined by, I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of your heart, Tyler Smith.
That's me, Prince of Darkness. Here we are.
Here we are. There's a darkness in all of us. And then there's also a light. And we all have hearts. And this is the story of Kingdom Hearts, everyone. Come on, sit down. It's the Valentine's Day episode. So, of course, we're going to talk about the greatest game series that makes perfect sense.
Is Cher's Xenoheart?
I would say she's probably not Xehanort, but maybe one of his many clones. And maybe like a data-only version. Like maybe she's only in the computer because she's just very cool, you know what I mean? So
just when you thought Kingdom Hearts couldn't get more complex and bad. We're introducing 80s pop tunes.
There you go. if you could add any character to Kingdom Hearts, what character would it be?
Oh, man.
Let's put me on the spot. Like,
who isn't in Kingdom Hearts nowadays? I was like, Tron? But no, he's in there.
Is Wreck-It Ralph in there?
Yeah, so Wreck-It Ralph's in there.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph is in there,
well,
yeah.
That's done.
I don't even know if there is one.
Are we talking about Disney properties that haven't been in there? Or just like fucking anyone?
I would say anyone. I put Neo from The Matrix in there. That'd be...
I bet the Matrix level would be very good. Like, I bet it would be very good.
There is no Kingdom Hearts.
It's
all in your head.
Yeah,
I want Morpheus as a summon.
That would be interesting, especially with the new attractions that they have in Kingdom Hearts 3. I bet having Morpheus there would really bring it all together. Anyway, that game is a trash fire. I've been playing it. And that's not what we're here to talk about, but one day I'm going to make you sit here and listen to me talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 in glorious, gory detail.
I'll be here to listen because I do not understand anything that's going on at all.
And you know what? After I tell you, you're going to know even less than you did going in. Somehow, I think it's like a mimetic hazard. Like when we tell it to you, it just like sucks more knowledge from your brain. Don't ask me how it works. It's science. I don't even know. It's very confusing. It's upsetting. I don't know.
I've been listening to an explainer and I'm still like, what? So, yes. I will welcome your explanation, and maybe through Sora's heart, I will figure out what's going on.
Yes, that actually is the correct way to go about it, ironically. So we're good. We got you. You're already in.
Great.
We're going to talk about that one day, but today's not that day. Today, I think, is a hard day for us to come together and talk about video games, especially because of the news that has just come down from Activision-Blizzard, who let go 100... No, not 100.
800.
Way more than that. It was 800. Yeah, 800 people today. Today, as in when we were recording this, as in not today when you're listening to it. So, yeah, Tyler, I think you kind of had your finger on the pulse of this today, and earlier this week. So I welcome you to tell us the story of what has happened so far and where we are at currently.
Yeah. So today is Tuesday, February, as Rebecca mentioned earlier in this podcast, but just remind you again, today is Tuesday, the 12th of February. Mm-hmm. And last week, there was a rumor mill kind of going around that, well, Activision is may or may not be laying off some of its staff, that they're going to go through another wave of layoffs within the next few days or next week. And this was like Wednesday, Thursday of the first week of February. And so everyone was like in anticipation, on their toes, like, when's it going to drop? Who is it going to be? And how many people? And mostly people were anticipating Activision-Blizzard, or Blizzard just the company itself, because so far, I think they're the only ones that are partnering with Activision that would foreseeably have any like real layoff potential. Because everyone else with Activision, I think, is pretty small. They would not really. I don't think they're going to, people didn't think that it was going to be Call of Duty or anything else, because those games for Activision are usually pretty good at generating revenue. Anyway, so today it did happen. The hammer did fall, and it did happen on Activision-Blizzard. And they let go of 800 people today. And it's really, really sad, because at the same time that they let 800 people go, they also had a shareholders meeting, I guess at the same time, or within the same day at the very least. And Bobby Kotick, within that shareholder meeting, was like, oh, by the way, this year has been, in history, the year that we made the most revenue ever in this company. Ever. And we're talking, there was no numbers given, so we don't know the actual amount. But being Activision, you have to imagine that the number is in the B's, as in billions of dollars of revenue made this year. And somehow, even though that is where Activision is at, they still somehow justify or feel like it is necessary to lay off 800 people who they've, a part of their community. So it's really, it is such a almost backstabbing betrayal and like pure greed motivated reasoning. And it's so, like, it upsets me to no end. So what are your guys' thoughts on this, or on the culture surrounding investors or CEOs of publishers who have this power within our industry?
So this is not the first big layoffs that we've seen. I mean, obviously the first layoffs at scale, but I feel like this year there's been quite a bit of layoffs just in the industry at large, which is, disconcerting for all of the reasons that you mentioned, especially because I think last year was one of the highest years on record just for the industry as a whole. Yeah, it's never a good thing, I think, when this happens. Obviously, this is the capitalism machine at work. And it's very scary. It's very scary to live in a world like this, I think, and also worse to see it happening in industries that you care about and spend a lot of time worrying about. I don't know what I have to say about it other than how much it hurts. You know what I mean? I am not in the video game industry, but was laid off myself 2 months ago. And it was one of the worst days of my life. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. It was cruel. And, I think it's hard in some part because this is happening everywhere all the time. I think we only see it because it's reported on so extensively within the gaming industry.
That's true.
I hope, if anything, it makes people aware of, what the human cost of these things are. You know what I mean? People generally will land on their feet. That's okay. But for a lot of people, this is, I think about a lot of the narratives that came out when the government shut down, for example, which was a lot of people who did not know, they may have a severance package that's great, but that doesn't last forever. They don't know if they can qualify for benefits. They don't know if they can get a job right away. They don't know, when their next paycheck is going to come in. That's a very scary reality for people that already live, like 70% of the population living paycheck to paycheck. So I think things like this is very scary. And I hope things like this make people get mad. And especially for the video games industry, I hope this is addressed by or resolved with, a much needed unionization of the whole workforce, because otherwise, people aren't capital. People can't be treated like shit because, people aren't forever.
And I think to build on that, one of the things I wanted to bring up was that in January, Activision hired a new CFO. It was Dennis Durkin. And apparently, as part of his offer to come on board, he received $15 million in appointments and awards and other things. Yeah, and it's really awful when you think about okay, we're going to give the C-level team a high variety of benefits or extra bonuses or whatever, and then fire off people actually making the products or who are in support staff, in marketing or production. I just don't. I think I have a lot of personal feelings about this, just having worked at a startup where I was working with a lot of C-level people. And then seeing how some of these deals get done when it comes to getting VC or how you're going to project things out. And then even it's if the company does really, really well, they still could fire people and they're not going to have to give them any kind of real notice. I had read that Activision is giving people a severance package, but that isn't going to be a long-term plan Rebecca was saying.
That's just a few weeks. It's not until you find another job or whatever, so.
Well, and I know that for me, every company I've worked at, it's I see people who are oh, I'm going to retire at this company. And I'm I just don't see that as a reality for many people. And I do wonder how, stuff we had the BuzzFeed layoffs, I think earlier this month or last month. And then with all of these large layoffs for companies that are doing well, that are making money.
Or even it's Patreon. Patreon's the same way too. Literally, there's just real quick with Patreon, they came out and they said, "Oh, we're doing so great, but investors are saying that we're not making as much as we can, so we're gonna have to change our business model to somehow create even more revenue." And
right.
It's just what? Anyway.
Well, and I think a lot about whenever I worked at a startup, it's you get VC funding and it's you're promising you're going to get 100 times above your revenue.
Which
currently.
Is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's a never ending process of okay, I'm just going to keep getting VC because we're not actually making any real money, but we have these metrics that we're showing to them, whether that's we're retaining customers or a month over month, whatever investment or a return. It's you make these promises that are in no way realistic. And then the C-level team will just bounce and be well, I got my millions, peace, and leave the workers holding the bag, which sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. It just, the whole investment thing, it confuses me only because it's no one's transparent. Unless you are the people who are actually dealing with investors within a company, no one really knows how or what exactly is going on behind closed doors because everyone does investing differently. But it's just my understanding of it is, okay, so I'm an investor and I'm going to invest in Olivia and Rebecca, your guys' startup. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you guys $2 million to create a game. And so you guys are okay, we're going to go make the game and we'll give you back, this X amount of money or whatever. And it'd be as an investor, I would be, even if let's say it takes you 10 years to make this game and I gave you $2 million. So by the time that you guys create your game, you release it and you do success, you're not super successful, but you make back the $2 million I lent you. And then you gave me $1 million more. So in the end, I gained $3 million, I basically, my salary is $200,000 a year for the 10 years. And it's that is exorbitant amount of money for one person or whatever,
Yeah. I think a good kind of explainer for all of this, how VC funding works and what the expectations are of those investors is covered in the Startup podcast by Gimlet. They really go into this guy's trying to get investment for his podcast company and no one will give him the money because they're oh, this isn't you're not disrupting anything. You're not going to get us a 10x or 100x times what our investment is. And it's a real struggle for him to show okay, well, here's the actual value I'm providing and it'll be a minimal amount of recovery, but you're doing a public service almost. And he has to really work on that. And I think it's a good, I know I started listening to it as I was working at a startup and I was oh, this all makes a lot more sense now what we're doing and why people are kind of rotating in and out of the company.
I see.
So, yeah.
To give it a listen. Anyway, it's heartbreaking and it's interesting and it's definitely, hopefully a call to arms for, game workers uniting, which is there's a lot of people out there who don't want that to happen, and not even just companies, but gamers who play the game don't want the people who make the game to be unionized, which is doesn't make any sense at all. But okay, and anyway, I hope everyone lands on their feet, like Rebecca had said. Usually, the gaming community, the game dev community usually has each other's backs. So anyone who is affected by this, hopefully will like be hired elsewhere. It's just that, you know, even if they are hired elsewhere, they have to like kind of uproot their whole family and their whole life and move somewhere else, and that's really difficult to do too. So hopefully everyone just kind of makes it, and it's an easy transition, and there's like no hassle, and on to bigger and better things, I suppose. It just yeah.
Well, and I'm just like, who's really hiring at scale right now? You know what I mean? Like, we've had layoffs for the past year.
Scale.
Yeah.
That's why I wonder, like, to me, this seems like something that the market can't bear, because realistically, you know, you have companies that say that they're performing well and then they cut massive swaths of their workforce. You know, then that means that you have people who are either going to other companies in the same industry. You have other people who are starting new companies in the same industry. You have people who are leaving the industry altogether. And this is across, I mean, not just video games, but also all the stuff happening like with Vice and BuzzFeed and you know, other publishing houses that are laying off a lot of their staff. And then what happens? It's like you have this weird diaspora of a workforce and not enough people to withhold it. And, you know, a company wants to keep making money, so they cut more and more until eventually they stop making money because they have no employees anymore. You know what I mean? Like, to me, this is a bad sign, I think, for the economy as a whole. Like, it's been very weird to be a part of, like, you know, being told to your face, hey, this company's doing really well, but we don't want you anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or in my case, they cut us so that they could go to Australia. I think because we were just considered dead weight to them, and that's really frustrating too. But you know what I mean?
The psychic damage that I think would be caused by someone like getting fired and having to like figure it out. Like, I don't know. I know we've all had like money issues in the past, and that's like a really stressful place to be, you know, when you don't know when your next paycheck's coming from.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's bad. I don't know. I just think it's interesting that they're like, our economy is so great, but so many people are getting laid off, and usually that's the sign of a bad time coming. So I don't know. Will be interesting to see what happens. I think especially in creative fields, it's especially sad because a lot of these people, maybe not all of them, but some of them are definitely people that probably are done. You know what I mean? And that this is not for them. They can't bear what the market is asking them to do. They can't travel all over the world and uproot their lives constantly to have a job for a year or 2 years. And then that means that industries lose some of their best talent.
Yep.
And those people are not replaceable.
Isn't there like a huge brain drain right now from like the like video game industry to like the gaming industry, like as in slot machines and stuff like that? I keep reading stories about people being like, I'm not going to fuck with this like instability in the job market, so I'm going to go work here, make better money, and like it may be a little creatively less exciting, but at least I can like have a family.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of people that have gone that route because it is, like you said, it is stability. As long as people are gambling, there's always going to be people that have to design those games. So.
Right. And it just doesn't have to be this way. And I think it really sucks.
Yeah.
I know that here in Arizona, or at least this was true a few years ago, Arizona is a huge gaming creator here. So like everyone who's a game dev here, or majority of people who are like game dev, quote quote, they're working for casinos creating those gambling games, and I think it's like just what all the Arizona really has to offer for the game dev community. Like, there's nothing that I can think of currently. There's maybe one studio out in Gilbert who's like actually making AAA video games. Everyone else is either indie or they're working for the gaming commission or whatever it's called. So, but the thing about this whole thing is that this isn't the last of it. Like Rebecca said, I'm pretty scared for BioWare because EA had projected that Anthem should be selling 6 million units in 6 weeks, which is quite a lot, especially compared to like take God of War, came out last year, won 2 Game of the Year awards. Do you know how many units it sold like as of December of last year? And mind you, that game came out in early March, I think. It sold total 5 million units. So like Anthem, I I pray that BioWare hits its numbers, and I hope that it's really well received and like everyone really enjoys it. I just really hate to see them miss the mark or miss the mark by EA standard, because if they don't, like, let's say they sell 5 million units within 6 weeks, that's still not 6 million. That's not what they promised to their investors. EA promised to their investors, and it'll be seen as a failure. And then once that happens, it's just another like kind of bullet in the gun kind of deal, you know, where they're going to be like, okay, well, you know, Andromeda didn't do well. You haven't been doing good things. You haven't been like receiving good press or good reviews in the press or whatever. So like, this is the thing. We're going to have to cut back now because, you know, we don't have the money anymore, supposedly. So
I think BioWare is a very interesting cultural narrative, since you brought it up, because I think ever since that they were acquired by EA, everyone has been waiting with bated breath for EA to take them out back and shoot them.
Yeah.
You know, like put them out to pasture in the way that EA has tended to do.
I think that was like reminiscent of what, KOTOR? Is that when it happened? And everyone's like, oh man, this is the end of BioWare. And like, here we are now today, but still.
Yeah, and EA obviously has a little bit of a track record of putting some people out to pasture, but the thing I will say in comparison to God of War, for example, Anthem does have the leg up of having been multi-platform.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think a lot of the sales numbers that are oftentimes sort of repeated online do not always include digital sales. So it's a high mark. Like, it's obvious that EA has a lot of faith in this product. I think it was especially scary seeing that their first weekend of demo went really bad. Although I heard that last weekend's demo went really well, and people said that they liked it, I guess. I don't know. It will be interesting to see. I assume that they must have good pre-order numbers in order to make such a forecast.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. Although, for EA, it's quite interesting because another studio under EA just put out a game completely for free. So, Respawn put out Apex Legends.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was an amazing move. So that happened, the last Monday? It's been a week now. Mm-hmm. And since then, they've had 25 million 25 million unique players. I don't know if that means, like, they have... Like, if I have Apex on my computer... but also my PlayStation, is that counting both of those, or is it counting just my account, you know?
I would imagine they'd be... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's tied to your Origin account, isn't it? So I believe that would be 25 million individual Origin accounts, but don't quote me.
Yeah, I don't know, because, I mean, it's on all platforms, correct? I mean, other than Switch, so...
For now.
Right, for now. Who knows? Switch just had that, it's kind of side comment, but Switch did just have a thing with Xbox. So who knows what that'll lead to. But, yeah, Apex is interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on this new game?
So I played a little bit before I came on. Like, I was like, oh, we're going to talk about this. I should jump on. And I think you guys both like Titanfall 2. Is that right?
Yes.
I haven't played it, but I know everything about it. And I know.
You would love that game, Tyler.
I know without a shadow of a doubt that I would really love that game, despite my avid distaste for shooters. I know I would love that game. I've heard all about it. I've seen things.
Damn good shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that'll be on my list of games, Purposeful Gaming Challenge to play this year. But anyway, continue, Olivia.
Yeah, so Apex Legends, I think, feels a lot like Titanfall 2, except for there's no robots and there's no wall running. But I feel like the slide mechanic, as soon as I started doing that in the game, where you're like running and then go into like a crouch position and you slide forward, and like everything about it just feels like Titanfall 2. And there's no fall damage as well. So I got caught. They do a really smart thing where you're like kind of being dropped in, this is a battle royale game. I don't know if we said that up front, but
yes. Well, we didn't, but yes, it is a battle royale.
Yeah. So it's a battle royale game, and like one of the cool things they do is like when you jump out of the, it's like a helicarrier or something, same mechanic as PUBG or Fortnite. You kind of fall as a group. So
there's
like you all kind of there's 3 people and you all kind of like stick together. You can always like branch off and leave on your own. But by default, you're going to stick with your teammates as they kind of like pick a position and one person's kind of guiding it. So I was playing earlier today. I kind of like went down with my crew. Somehow I got stuck on like a rocky outcropping or something, and I was like, well, I guess I should see if this game has real fall damage. And I fell like probably like 10 stories, and I was totally fine, and that felt pretty good. So I do think this is like a video game, and like as in I haven't heard this much like voice chat when it comes to like, oh, I'm playing with like teenage boys, and like they're like, yeah, dude, just get the thing, since like Call of Duty 4, and it's the same people, so I guess that makes sense. But I've had a really good time playing this game, and it feels amazing. Rebecca, what are your feelings on it so far?
So my first feeling is what many people have reiterated before, which is this game, I think, is great at what it does. I think it's really taken, kind of a tumultuous genre and put it through its paces and done a lot of quality of life improvements that make it more appealing, I think, to a wider player base. But at the same time, it has maybe the worst name ever in the history of the world. Like, what does that even mean? I thought it was about dinosaurs when I first heard about it, and it's also completely not memorable. I'm really sorry. I'm going through a phase right now where I want to fire everybody naming any game ever, because all games have stupid names right now. I'm sorry.
I had similar feelings when I was like, wait, what is that game called? And it just like, I heard it and it just phased through my brain as if I'd never heard it before. So I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing with our game naming, but I'm firing all game namers everywhere. But yeah, I think it's surprisingly extremely tight. And I think there's a lot to be said about the fact that, for a game that dropped a week ago completely for free and absolutely out of nowhere, it has more black female characters than Overwatch does, which has been out for years and has gotten loads of updates. And one thing that's also nice is that none of those characters are behind a pay gate. There are 2 characters that are not available at launch, like that are not in the free group of characters. But even still, I think it's super impressive. It's fun as hell. I'm terrible at it. I still don't really like playing it solo because I don't know. I like that you don't really have to talk to people. Like, their system of marking items and voice chat and stuff is really well done, I think. But I still don't find that it 100% makes me want to play by myself or play solos. But even still, I think it's fun. And I think even more impressive is their roadmap for how they're planning to continue with it through the rest of the year. It looks like maybe they're going through the Fortnite model of seasons.
Yes.
I think that's what I understood. But I mean, they're already fully invested and prepared to bring out new characters and new, weapons and maps and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I think this is good. They're disrupting battle royale games right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like we needed something that was between the like horror jank zone that is PUBG and then the like sort of childish 12-year-old nightmare zone that is Fortnite. And so I'm hoping that Apex Legends can be that. Right. I'm really hoping.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we have that roadmap, just so we don't get like another Mass Effect Andromeda kind of situation where the game like gets released and then it doesn't do well and then it just gets totally dropped, like all the DLC gets canceled. Right. So yeah, I'm hoping this game has a long like lifespan and that we can continue to play it. I did want to circle back to that representation thing because we have black female characters in the game, 2 of them from the outset, and then we also have like a non-binary character and then a gay character. So I think that's really, really awesome. I just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, it's not that hard, everyone. It really is not that hard. And Apex Legends proved it's not that hard, so don't think about it so hard. Yeah. Please.
Honestly, it's not. And it just, I don't know, people get all riled up about this too. It's like, oh, representation in mock games? I don't think so. PC culture, whatever. And I'm like, gay people just fucking exist whether you want them to or not. So, like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't want, I don't even want to talk about it because it's so fucking dumb. But I'm glad they're there. I'm glad that we have 2 gay characters. And also isn't there, who is it? There's one of them who prefers they, them pronouns.
Yeah, I just pulled that up. I think Bloodhound is that.
Bloodhound, yes. Nice. And so that's pretty cool too. And it's like not even a big deal. And it seems to me that so far from like just my general news outlet, areas, they are referring to Bloodhound as they, them. So that's pretty cool too. It's not like, oh, well, she's they, she prefers, or he prefers them. Like their Bloodhound is they, them. So that's pretty neat. And that's pretty awesome. And it's like not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But I mean, like it is a big deal, but it's not a big deal to do that within a video game and be like super controversial, like people make it out to be. So
yeah, I think one other thing I wanted to talk about before we moved on was just the communication system, because I usually don't play games with like a headset. Oh, okay, yeah. So there's like that tagging system where you can kind of like tag individual items or like kind of have that little call out being like, oh, there's an enemy over here, come pick this up.
That's really nice.
It's really amazing. I don't like talking to people online, so
yes.
It's a really good fit for me.
That's the reason why I never really get into multiplayer games, is because dealing with other people that I don't know gives me such anxiety. I don't want to deal with any of them, or like either perform bad or feel like I'm dragging the team down. And like I don't want to be on, just in general, all of that performance issues aside of me actually being a good gamer, I don't want to have someone be like, or like a 12-year-old, shrill squeaking in my ear, like whatever. I don't want to deal with any of that shit. And this ping system that they have it seems brilliant. I haven't had a chance. I've only seen it, in action. I haven't actually played the game yet myself, so I don't really know what it is. But that definitely encourages me to actually play their game in this multiplayer space, and I have no issue with having random people in my team or on my team doing this. So if when I do play in the game, when I jump in, I hope that system like really resonates with me, and I hope I can play multiplayer games. It'll be my first multiplayer game in a long ass time. I mean, I guess I played World of Warcraft, but it's not the same. So hopefully future games can take away from Apex, like moving forward, just as a game industry as a whole, use this ping system, or like, I think the devs of Apex even said like, yeah, we literally play tested this for months. We hopped in the game, no mics, no nothing, and like used this ping system and perfected it to the point where like we could totally win matches just via ping communication. So doing like the small things like that is like amazing. It shows that they really care about people who just don't want to participate in the chat systems or with other people in general. So good on them. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing next. And also I think Respawn, they're also going to be announcing a Titanfall adjacent again platinum game, they had said over on Twitter, later this year. It may be Titanfall 3, but probably not, since they said like literally maybe 3 months ago that there is no Titanfall 3. But there's supposed to be something else within the Titanfall universe that isn't Apex and isn't Titanfall to be released later this year. So we will see if that's like, maybe it's Titanfall 2 DLC. Who knows? So
yeah, it's definitely going to be a good year for Respawn for sure. And definitely. I feel like not to harp on the Bloodhound thing, but it reminds me very much of remember Team Fortress 2, there was a lot of drama as to whether Pyro was a male or a female.
Yes.
And I appreciate that now we've just returned to, you know what, it doesn't fucking matter.
No.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Definitely.
The answer is it doesn't matter anymore. So, we've regressed in a lot of ways, but that makes me feel just a little better.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to call out that there is that like voice to text feature in the game.
That's such a
is there?
Yeah. So I did try to use it because I was like, I heard about it and it's in the options, and then my game immediately crashed on PS4. So
cool.
Yeah. So maybe avoid that until they patch it. But if anyone gets it working and then lets me know how it works, that'd be really nice.
I have really only see it work meaningfully on the PC, but maybe if you're like really quick at typing on the PlayStation, maybe it's okay. I don't know.
People who can type accurately in those games and still be really good are like demigods. Like, I don't know how anyone could type in any game, honestly, where you can type and like also play the game. I can't do that. If I have to type, I have to be like typing on my keyboard, completely stopping everything I'm doing, and then continue. But anyway, any final thoughts on Apex?
Let me play single player. I don't want to see anyone else. I don't want to let anyone else down. Please, let me just do solos.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll release. I'm pretty sure they're going to be. I'm pretty sure it was a very smart and calculated move by them to release this as a 3-person team-based battle royale, and then whittle it down to, you can play dual or duo, whatever, 2 people, and then do solo. They wanted to definitely like revitalize this battle royale genre. And also, like, I don't know, did any of you mention the fact that you can respawn your people if they die?
I don't think we brought that up.
No,
so I guess that's like one of the other major ways that Apex is different from Fortnite and or PUBG, is that if one of your teammates dies, or if you die, your remaining teammates can then you have 90 seconds to find your corpse wherever it is and like claim your revival tag, which I'm assuming is just like, it's a thing, and then you can go to like a respawn depot, which is usually like in the middle. There's a few of them spread out over the map, I guess, and you have to run to that thing and then like spend maybe 2 minutes kind of doing kind of a capture the flag base or protect your base situation for your teammate to then be revived again. So if you die, there's a good chance that you're not down and out, so you shouldn't like leave the game. And it seems like the matches are going pretty quick. Like, it's not like a PUBG where, if you die, the game could go on for 60 more minutes. It seems like this game is very like calculated within like, it's between 20 minutes and 30 minutes. I don't know, Olivia, did you see that? Or how was your experience?
Yeah, I honestly haven't been doing too well in the games.
Okay.
I got 1 kill and I felt pretty great about it, but it seems like the length of the games is pretty dang short, and like the respawn system makes it pretty accessible, because I feel like I've been playing with a lot of people who are maybe a little bit more advanced than I am. And then me getting killed and respawn actually makes those encounters fun, versus like, oh, I'm dead, I guess I'll just watch my team for 20 minutes, which is not great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pumped. I'm excited to see where this goes. So hopefully we can keep checking in with it periodically throughout the year. And maybe this is the year, after saying that last year we were going to play PUBG and or the year before we were going to play Fortnite. This year we're going to play Apex Legends, but I don't know. I don't want to make promises because that's too much pressure for me.
We should play it. Let's play it. Let's commit to playing it right now.
There's 3 people to a team, and there's 3 of us. Like, this was made. This is our hole. It was made for us. This is our game.
Join us in the hole.
Looked into the camera and said, "This is for you, Greetings From podcast. This is for you."
It's so strange. But anyway.
On the topic of multiplayer games, Tyler, I heard you got to play the Division 2 beta.
Well, I sure did.
Talk to me about how it was.
Yeah. So for people who may not know, Division is a Tom Clancy dystopian take on society. Ubisoft is the developer. The Division 1 came out, I don't know, 2016 or something, a few years ago. Yeah. And now this is the follow-up to that. And the first one took place in New York during Christmas. This one takes place in the summer in DC at the White House, or like that DC district area. And Ubisoft's been like praising, this is the best 1-to-1 scale of a city that we've ever done. So I guess if you live in DC, like literally this is your fucking town. So I played the Division 2 beta. It was smooth going in. I will say your character creator, they preload you with one guy, but then you can click randomize to randomize your character's look. They didn't let you have control over, like, they didn't give you access to the character creation or customization tools, but just clicking randomize on my character, I got a wide variety of people. And that was really nice. That felt really nice. And I was like, this is amazing. They're all beautiful. I don't think I really found anyone who was ugly, but like, it was nice. Anyway, going into the game though, I would say that everything's pretty, first of all, so that's nice. But the Division was also, the original Division was also really pretty at the time. Probably still is. But going through and playing it, I don't know if it was just because it was the beta, and the fact that it doesn't give you the plot beats that I assume you would have by the time that you're in the game. However, it's a little confusing because it seemed like they gave you the full introduction cutscene as to what's going on in the world. The Division 2 takes place after the Division 1. I don't know if it... I feel like it's supposed to be a few months after. Like, canonically, Division 1 took place during Christmas or, like, the December area. And then this Division 2 game is supposed to be, like, the summer after that Christmas. But it's weird because this game, or the community that your like hub that you have, you're growing crops already, and I feel like if you're growing crops, that's like really soon. But I don't know. It's summertime now. There's no snow, and just overall, I honestly feel like I'm playing Division 1, and here's why. In the Division 1, there's 4 factions, and it was like your oh man, what are they called? I haven't listed. You have the rioters, which were your like entry level people. The cleaners, which I think were the best ones because their backstory is just amazing. The Last Man Battalion, and then the Rikers. And I think the Last Man Battalion was like the end game people, who were like high level shoot 'em up. Like they were basically like you, a player. In terms of enemy AI. Anyway, so this game, Division 2, it has 4 factions again, and it's pretty much the same formula. The introduction people that you are shooting at or having a conflict with, they're called the hyenas, and they are basically like the rioters. They are basically like common people who rose up against the government. They weren't happy with the government shutting down or not being there in their time of need once this event of the Division happened. And so they rose up by themselves to kind of either reestablish the government or like just take the current government down. But there isn't any government. That's the whole thing. It's really weird. There's some disjoint with these factions or like their backstory and what they're trying to do, because there is no government. Like you, the Division agent, are the government in a sense. You, the Division. Go ahead, ask a question.
Are you working for like the government or like a faction of the government?
So that's the thing. Is since there's no government, you essentially as a Division agent are trying to restart the government. But there is no like actual law enforcement or like any judiciary or anything. It's just it's people. You're basically protecting the people who want to start the government up again, but don't have the power to do so, and you are that power. You are like the judge and the jury at the moment in time, as the Division agent, going around trying to get the White House back up into shape by shooting these hyena people who are trying to prevent that. But then also, like, I guess maybe the hyenas are trying to prevent whoever is in power right now or trying to claim power right now to stop them and then claim power for themselves. It's really weird. It's like, if you guys are the hyenas, if you are for government, then why are you not trying to aid those who are trying to restart the government that you like are protesting against? It's really it's a little weird. And
do you think like because I had heard a little bit about this on Waypoint. They were talking about the hyenas being like the remnants of protesters like you were talking about.
Yes. And
I'm wondering if this is like some like Antifa, like right-wing Antifa nightmare message where it's like, oh, they've risen up and like taking control of everything. And like this game seems, I know it has like a far right political faction of some sort, like the Sons of something or other.
The True Sons. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if like this game strives to not have a political message, as like some of the developers have said, and like if that has to do with why it just seems so disjointed because it can't take a stand anywhere because it's trying to say nothing.
Well, yeah, if you remember Ubisoft back at E3 of 2018, they said, oh no, we are not taking a stand. There's no we're not being political at all with our game. But I don't understand how they cannot be political or take the stance of we don't put politics in our games when you're literally talking about the fall of our government and like what happens, to the civilians, to the people who were in power, the people who are trying to gain power.
Right.
Like there's no way that you can go around and say like a game is not political when that's happening. That's
kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like more often than not, when you say I'm not taking a side, that means you're still taking a side because you're just
Right.
Like you can't be indifferent in a situation like this. Plus they got in hot water for sending out that email that said, "Let us show you what a real government shutdown looks like." Like, okay, great job.
Well, remember that was a mistake that shouldn't have happened. But like I found that really, really funny and appropriate for some reason, just because I fucking hate this administration. Anyway, I understand that government shutting down affected real people with real lives and like it was awful. But yeah, the Division, I only played like literally they only allowed you to play like literally 2 main missions. So as far as like the overarching story, I don't know what's going on, why I'm killing the hyenas, or like what. Because like the first mission with the hyenas is you are basically rescuing this daughter of someone who was in power or who was back at the White House because she was kidnapped by these people, hyenas. And like that's it. That's like the whole story. That's why you shoot them up, is because they kidnapped the daughter of someone slightly important or who's trying to like, do good things in this world and try to rebuild the government again, and have like law and order. So like that's all I can really tell you. This feels a lot like the Division 1. There's only a few things that are like different from the Division 1 about this, and that's it. So
does the shooting feel like competent? Like I know Destiny is my go-to for these kinds of games because it just feels so good, and I'm wondering how this kind of stacks up.
This actually feels really good. The previous Division game felt really good too, but it wasn't until the end game where I felt like I found more of a groove into my weapons and what like the way that they function and the way that they killed the enemies. And again, this may just be because it was either 1, the beta, or 2, like I'm level 4, so things die pretty quickly. But I found one gun. I think it was like a AK-47 or something, but it was a really nice gun. It was standard, it was my level, but it just felt really nice. Like I would shoot it and like I felt really in control. I felt like my accuracy was really good. I would get actual headshots, which is a rare thing for me to do, especially with, a machine gun. Like usually I'm a sniper and like it takes me forever to get headshots, but I could easily do that with this. And again, I don't know if that's because I'm playing against the hyenas, which are supposed to be like your entry level henchmen AI people. So like it's, it's kind of dumbed down a bit for you. Or if it's just because the game, the guns feel that good. I tried out a few other different guns other than my, AK-47, and they were okay. I feel like they got a submachine gun and that went all over the place, and I was like, this is not the gun for me. So, I would say yes, the gun feel of the video game is really good. I really enjoyed it, and it really made me feel nostalgic for Division 1. So I don't know where I stand yet on this game of whether I want to buy it or not, because like I said, it's not really offering much more than the Division 1. There are a few things that are different, like you have a different skill tree and a different set of skills. And they implemented more MMO-esque mechanics to the game where there's like a progression system. It definitely makes you want to put more time in, or you have to put more time in to a certain, like your hub, I should say. In the Division 1, your hub was like basically 3 categories of things. It was medical, security, which was like your guns, and then like just overall government, health, whatever. In this one, it's not like that. They removed the 3-tree system, and it's more like, okay, you have a hub, and you can invite people from, like, for example, we rescued the daughter of the politician or whatever. She ends up being like a resource to your hub, and she's like a crafter. So now you can start crafting blueprints and stuff. And like there's a whole tree of people that you can eventually recruit by going on these certain missions, which will like unlock things as you go along. And yeah, so like it does those little progression things that multiplayer games, MMOs usually do, that wasn't really present in the Division 1. So I'm on the fence about the game. I don't know if I want to buy it yet. I do want to buy it, but I don't know if it's worth the money to pay if it's not going to offer me anything in the end game. Like what's my fear is it'll be like Division 1 where I bought it, I enjoyed myself a lot, even though like it had issues. But once I reached the final, like the end of the story, I dropped it because there was nothing else that really had to offer for me. I don't know if this game is going to do that this time. So, did you guys see anything about it, or did you have any other questions?
I was interested in like the end game aspect. Like I know they have the darkness zones, or whatever it was in the first game.
Yes,
does this
the dark
game still
zones.
have that?
Yes, so they do have the dark zones. As I didn't get to go play in it, but I understand it that it's pretty much the same. There are a few things that are different. They want it to be, so what they figured out with the first division was the dark zones. These are it's a free-for-all area. It's like rogue agents. So you are a division agent, you're basically like sleeper agents, that's what division agents are. You were a regular ass working person, Joe Schmo, and then you were activated as a division agent. Well, and then throughout the whole game you are fighting bad guys. But you're not fighting other division agents. Well, in the dark zone, that's where that happens, where you can fight other players, and that's where like the strongest, toughest enemies are. So there's both NPCs in the dark zone, and there's also players in the dark zone. So what they found out with Division 1 is that there was a lot of incentive for people to kill each other in the dark zone. Like that was just where everyone just went to go like unload. So for regular people who don't really want to engage in that kind of combat, it was a nightmare because you didn't have to participate in it. But if you wanted like end game loot and like to be the best gear in the game, it was in the dark zone. And the only way you can get it is to go out there and have to hassle it. There's a lot of things in the dark zone that are wrong. Anyway, so Ubisoft kind of learned their lesson, I guess, or that's what they say. And so they've made the dark zone more PvE friendly. I don't know what they have in place so that it decentivizes people to not shoot other division agents, other player characters. But they supposedly have, like, obviously there's still, because what people would like to do is if you pick up a piece of loot in the dark zone, you can't bring it outside of the dark zone unless you do something called an extraction, which is where you call in a helicopter, and for like 2 minutes you have to be within a zone and like camp there to have your loot extracted. So what people would like to do is camp these loot extraction points and like kill everyone for their loot and then have that loot extracted themselves. And I guess they did something different this time for the division. There's still extraction points, but I guess they might work differently, or like maybe they let everyone who's in the vicinity get that loot too. I don't know yet. I haven't played it. I haven't looked into it, so we'll see. There's another debate. There's another beta coming in March, so maybe they'll have more end game stuff like that. Because in this beta, at least for when I played really early in the beta session. They hadn't implemented any of the end game stuff. So we'll see what Ubisoft have to bring so far. But right now, it's literally just the Division 1 reskinned in the summertime. So who knows?
Definitely a weird year for multiplayer games to come out, I feel like, because I don't know. It seems like so far the ones that have dropped without warning have been really good, and the ones that have a lot of warning are maybe
build up to it, or
so good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish it the best. I played the first one and I thought it was just okay. So I certainly hope for the Division 2 that it's more than just okay.
I really, like I said, I think the weakness is going to be the plot again, and like just the motives of these factions and what you as a division agent are trying to do. But who knows? Like I said, it's very difficult to judge at this point in time where this game is going because there's so little information to go on. I will say I really love running around the world. And like there was a lot more loot to find in the world. However, unlike the Division 1, where you were like, if you encountered a homeless person and they were like, oh my gosh, if you give me water, I will give you my pants. There's none of that in the game. So, or at least that's what I saw. But for the most part, it's you just walking around. You see a group of people. and then you're like, oh shit, those are enemies. I gotta shoot them up because they're just walking in front of me. They're enemies. You know, there's no like, you can avoid them. It's, you know, like you can like see them and divert yourself. But if they see you, they're immediately hostile. And it's just like, okay, it's not really any different than the Division 1 where you just like, do you see masked people? Are they thugs? Shoot them, you know? So, and that's that on that.
I feel like this is a good time to talk about another beta/demo that maybe did not sell us on playing a game. Hey, Olivia, talk to me about that Devil May Cry 5 beta and how that made you feel.
Devil Trigger! Whatever the stupid song is, it's bad. I like Devil May Cry 1 and 3. Those are the only, I played like 1, 2, and 3, a little bit of 2.
Good morning, but only to Devil May Cry 1 and 3.
Yeah, not you two. And I haven't really like touched the series since then, but I was like, you know what? I like Devil May Cry. I'm going to check this one out. It could be cool. Don't know anything about the story or what's happening, or I kind of forgot who Nero was or if he's in any of those games. I don't know. I like beat 'em ups, and I like Bayonetta was amazing. I even like Nier. I think that kind of falls in, it's a little bit of RPG mechanics, but with the kind of beat 'em up layer. This game, I don't know if I really got the purpose of it. I played through the demo like 3 times thinking like, man, I must be missing something. This must be really, really good. And I didn't enjoy it very much. I feel like the fighting was really dull. I finally got how to use the stupid arm things, and I rode around on a rocket arm, and that was pretty cool. But beyond that, it just seemed really boring. Where do you fall on this, Rebecca?
Yeah, it seems like Devil May Cry, I guess, but maybe not in a great way. I think I was one of the few people that thought that the Devil May Cry reboot was great, because it was garbage, you know what I mean? But it was like good garbage. It was like a potato chip of a game. Like it really leaned hard into, this is a cool Dante and not your old white-haired Dante. Like that was a actual physical joke in that game. And the music was all Combat Christ, so it was all hard and bad, and you know what I mean? There was boobs and just real like, it was very macho. I don't know. But I thought like, it was, to me, I really liked it because I thought that it was very much like, yeah, that's what basically what this series is if you really kind of boil it down to its base concepts. But yeah, I played that demo and I thought it was kind of blah. It didn't really feel like the series is going anywhere meaningful. I will say it was a bad demo because it was a very weirdly clipped together like couple parts of a level.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel like it was long enough to actually understand sort of how to play the game. Like I didn't understand the Devil Trigger thing until like the very end, and even then I don't think I know. But I do have to say that I love Nico and I would probably die for her, so I got that going for me.
She's got a good look.
Yeah, she really does. And she's also like weirdly Southern. And
yeah.
Her dubbing doesn't match, and I think it's great. I think that's really all we needed out of this.
And I appreciate the like hardcore like metal with a wink and a nod, like this is super lame, but we're just gonna lean into it. Like that song is bad, but we're just gonna play it a bunch.
Yeah, you have to listen to it every time an enemy walks into the screen.
And I'm like, this must
is all the time.
This must be intentional. I would hope that they're trying to like play up the cheese factor of this game. I do want to know like what we missed, because I kind of feel like this game, if there were some slight improvements, like, okay, when you have your little like arm thing, the only way to switch arms is to like blow off your arm, and then you get a new robot arm. You can like kind of switch it out there. And I was like, this seems like an ability you would eventually buy, where you could like switch through your arms, like reassign them to like the D-pad or something like that. Or like the other characters could be really cool. Like I imagine you'll play as Dante, but you know, the current snippet that they've showed wasn't very enticing. Even though they had like that set piece at the end, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But, you know, I've seen giant monster fights before. Like that's kind of become passe at this point. So please give me something good.
I'm really not of the mind that it does anything particularly new and different, which is not always a bad thing, but maybe a little bit of a bad thing. And like for me, I found it really frustrating because I played it like while I've been in the middle of playing Kingdom Hearts 3, which also did not really take the series in a meaningful way. In any kind of meaningful direction, unfortunately. And it also like it had the opposite problem where it added so many features that 90% of them were not relevant and like not really needed. So I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted on weird push button to kill games coming out of Japan right now. But I don't know. I'll probably still pick it up. Maybe not at launch, but I still want to play it because I love Devil May Cry, even if it's trash. It's my trash.
It made me want to go back to 3 because I remember really liking 3 and having
3 was good.
Yeah.
And then is his brother's name Nero? Like Dante's brother? Or
Virgil is his
Virgil,
brother.
Gotcha. And I just remember that ending, that whole last hour and a half was amazing, and I really want to go back and see that game again and be like, is it actually that good, or am I just misremembering my fond feelings for it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't played them for a really long time, so I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah,
it could always be a dangerous thing to go back. But I mean, it does seem like they are kind of leaning into the fan service of this one because I'm pretty sure that Trish and Lady are back also.
I forgot they had a character named Lady in this fucking series.
Her name is just Lady. I think that's why, to me, if as long as it leans into, this is stupid and we're just going to go with it, I mean, that's what I want, because you cannot make a serious game in which a woman character's name is Lady, because that's it. Her name is Lady.
Was the opening of that first game, I'm trying to remember, a guy rides in on a motorcycle and he eats a slice of pizza? I just remember being totally off the wall crazy.
Yeah, the pizza thing is an ongoing thing with Dante, who was gradually losing clothing the farther we went into that series.
Okay, is Dante a daddy?
I don't know. He's not. I don't know what the right daddy would be for him. I mean, he has to be. He is for sure. I'm thinking Devil May Cry 3 Dante was the one where he was just in a coat, right? And he had nothing else.
Yeah.
What level daddy is that?
I feel like he's a soft daddy.
You think so? I thought maybe he was a club daddy, but a dirty club daddy. You know
I could see that. Yeah, Tommy's gonna offer you some coke in the bathroom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's at a really bad strip club daddy. Is Dante.
It's a dirty daddy.
Dante.
Please stop.
Oh boy. I'm just saying this now, knowing that it's February, but at the end of the year when we do the posties again, we're gonna have to create a category that's just
who's the daddy? Yeah.
The daddiest dad.
Daddy. Yeah.
The daddy.
Who wins the dad award?
We missed our opportunity to crown Arthur Morgan daddiest of all
That's
daddies
true.
Because every once in a while I forget how good looking he is, and then you post a picture of him, Olivia, and I'm just like,
you know what? In our spoiler cast, we completely sidestepped, or at least I completely sidestepped that answer to that question. Is what kind of daddy is Arthur? So I don't know if that's an achievement or if it's left to the unknown mystery.
We got to do a daddy cast. This is the truth.
Yep.
Who is the real daddy? Is it Kratos? Is it Arthur? Is it Dante
at a shitty strip club?
Oh my god.
All daddies are up for grabs here. So today is not the day to talk about the daddy cast, but today is the day to talk about something that I sort of sprung on you at the last minute, and I'm super glad you didn't tell me I was a crazy person, because I know that this week is Valentine's Day, and so as a good Valentine's Day week, I decided to not talk about a romantic game at all, and instead ask you to talk to me a little bit about some games that feature this year's animal of the year. I don't know how to say that in a better way. It is the Lunar New Year. Hello. This is the year of the pig, 2019. And this was sort of the context behind this was I went back to a game that I really loved, and have been thinking about a lot recently. And it gave me the idea to challenge you to talk to me about some of your favorite games featuring pigs in a meaningful capacity, because ironically, there are a lot of them, even more than I realized when I first came up with this idea. Yeah. So, Tyler, I'm interested to hear, because I saw what you picked, and I don't remember them in the second one, but I do remember them in the first one. Yeah. So please talk to me about pigs in your video games.
Pigs. Or boars. Yes, they are here in Bloodborne.
The other white meat, as they say.
The white meat. Do they really say that? I thought that was tuna. So yeah, people don't... I don't know if people played Bloodborne. You should. If you haven't yet, you need to. Olivia, I'm looking at you, but we'll get to that later. Bloodborne would be my first, game that features a pig, or even Dark Souls in general. They've always had a pig in their game. I mean, in Dark Souls 1, you definitely meet an armored pig or armored boar early on, but fuck that pig. we're going to go with the ones in Bloodborne because they're 10 times scarier. They're humongous, and they are terrifying. There's actually, you know, think about it. Now in Bloodborne, you also meet a pig that's really early in the game too. There's technically there's like 3 pigs, but pigs, they get so gross, and like it just in Bloodborne as a dark game itself, they definitely take the pig to like almost an extreme. And I've never seen an enemy type like that in a video game before, where it's just a huge ass pig, and you just have to deal with it. And so like that would be my one game of the year. But I got to thinking, and I was like, pigs, boar, Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon has boars in them. Yes, they do. Although they're like pig highwaymen, and like they're in I forget what it's called. I think it's like West Road. I don't remember. It's been a long time. I have to jump back into Darkest Dungeon. But anyway, they're there too, and like there's a pig boss in Darkest Dungeon as well. I think it's one of the first bosses that you encounter within Darkest Dungeon. And let me tell you, the pigs in Darkest Dungeon are also very brutal, as much as they are, or more so, in Bloodborne. And yes, those are my Lunar Pig of the Year games that feature a pig. There are so many more, but those are the 2 that popped into my head instantly. Olivia, where are your pigs coming from?
Yeah, so I'm going to predicate this with a little story as I get up on my soapbox. I met a pig a couple, like a year and a half ago.
You met a pig?
I
cannot believe it.
Yeah, my friend had a pig that was her pet, and the pig just came up and said hi to me, and I was like, man, you're like a fucking dog.
He said hi?
So much.
He literally was like, sup.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, hey, I'm going to like oink at you and just kind of like shove my face in your crotch. And I was like, you're adorable. I love you. Thank you for being here.
That does sound like a dog, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. And since I met that pig, I feel like my feelings about eating meat have changed significantly. And
interesting.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, well, like animals don't feel fear. That's crazy. And then I was like, nope, that's not true at all. Finally met the animal that broke me and made me not be able to eat meat anymore. Yes. So like the last like year, I haven't really been eating meat except for like fish. And I really wanted to pick a game that I thought like was related to like caring for animals and being nice to them and not killing them. So I chose Stardew Valley as my game. And let me tell you about those pigs. They're very good. They get you truffles. They're adorable and like they don't really look like pigs in my opinion. Look like weird bears that are pink. But I love them so much.
They kind of do, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, and like I feel like with all of the animals in that game, it's very much like you're going to build a relationship with them and have this idealized non-factory farm. And it's like, cool, I'm having a great time here. I don't want to think about the American food industrial complex and like the treatment of pigs in the world. So it's been a good panacea from that. And like a great way to connect with my pig roots and my pig friends. Rebecca, tell me about your pig. I'm sure in your game, it's going to be all good pigs. Nothing happens to them.
Yeah, so I took the best and worst of pigs and picked the worst game about pigs. It is pigs in the title. That's called Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. Sorry, I'm letting you down. As a newly minted pescatarian, I've let you down.
I don't think anything bad happens to those pigs, right? There's not bodies everywhere.
I mean, nothing happens. It's a good game. You save all of the pigs.
There's no slaughterhouse that you trudge through.
There's no genetic modification of pig people.
Nope.
There's no pig people at all. They're just pigs. Just totally pig, normal, 100% pink and adorable. Yeah, so I recently revisited A Machine for Pigs. I feel like I always have to preface my chatter about this game and others by the same studio by saying that I stan very deeply for the Chinese room, and so a lot of people really hate the stuff that they've come out with. I am not one of those people, Machine for Pigs included. I realized that it's a very weird game because it carries the burden of being an amnesia game without really 100%. I don't know. It's not anything really like The Dark Descent, so I feel like perhaps being attached to the title, like the tagline, was maybe not the best choice for it because it's very fascinating as a game. I am not someone who enjoys playing a lot of horror games, but it's really, really friggin' good. Maybe more atmospheric and more of a walking sim as to be expected of the Chinese room, but yeah. That game relies on a lot of heavy pig metaphors to kind of talk about perhaps an exploited workforce and the usefulness of people, and what it means to sort of build an empire on the backs of a certain kind of fodder, I guess, that is, I don't know. It's a good game about capitalism. So on a day, I guess, in which we are sort of mourning those who have lost their jobs at Blizzard and at other places like Vice and at BuzzFeed, I don't know. Machine for Pigs to me does cover a lot of that in a very interesting way. I will say it doesn't really work out so good for the pigs, though. This is not a game in which pigs have a good time, but neither does anyone else. So it's generalized suffering, we'll say, across the board. Tyler, I know you really like this. Well, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if you really like this game, but I know that you were pumped when I mentioned it, so...
Oh, yeah. I mean, Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, set aside, like, Chinese Room making it, which I think they did a brilliant job with it. I, like, going into that game, the first, like, 15 minutes of setting the tone and, like, the atmosphere and the mood of what this game was going to be is like, done so well. And I just, in general...
That house is a goddamn nightmare.
I know it was.
It is an absolute goddamn
and like
nightmare.
that's like the whole, like that's honestly like one of the scariest parts in the entire game is literally the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But like I love frictional gaming. Who made Amnesia? Who made Amnesia for Machine for Pigs? And they made Cambria, and they made Soma, which is a recent game, and now they're making something else completely different. And I can't wait to see what they're doing. Anyway, I love their games. I love the Machine for Pigs. It just had it improved in ways on which Amnesia failed, I suppose. There's still like the sneaking around and everything, but there's less of that, and it's definitely more narrative driven, which was really nice. The first Amnesia was kind of, you're following, I think his name is Daniel, and it's like figuring out what's going on with him and his body, and like what's going on with like at this house and stuff. But like this is more focused on like why are there these pigs here, what's going on with the experiments, and like all of that jazz. It's, if you haven't played it, if you don't like horror games, at least watch like a Let's Play or something, and just kind of get the whole story, because it's actually a pretty great story. I enjoyed it at the very least, and I definitely enjoyed like the piece setting of the time period and everything, and I felt like the puzzles were appropriate. At no point in time did I feel like I couldn't get something and like had to, I was like failing to a point where like I couldn't progress. Like it was a very fluid, very well thought out game, and they understood what they were doing. Whoever actually had a hand in it. So either Chinese Room or fictional gaming, or both.
So I own this game, and I played, and I haven't opened it yet. I did try to play Amnesia 1, and I got to the water monster, and then I said fuck this and closed the game and never reopened it.
That's perfectly fair.
That's the like scariest part. That's where like I knew that Amnesia was like an amazing game, because I was petrified. Anyway, continue.
So should I, as a person who's a scaredy cat, should I try to play this game?
I would say yes. There are like a couple of sections where you have to avoid a thing. But I will say that on the whole, it's primarily an atmospheric game. So, a lot of it is very spooky, and there's a lot of spooky imagery. But to me, it was maybe perhaps more like a Gone Home than it was a Dark Descent.
Right. This one is definitely, so where Amnesia is more focused like on, the traditional monster hunt. This is definitely more environmental storytelling, and so there's less anxiety. I'm not saying that you're not going to get scared. I'm not saying that there aren't scary things or monsters in this game. I'm just saying that there's time to breathe between each interaction, whereas with Amnesia, it was like you gotta go on your toes all the time, kind of. Anyway, hopefully, I feel like you should, but it's up to you, because I know like it's If you don't feel comfortable, don't. But I feel like you could do it.
What I would say to that end is that I'm sure that there is, much like with Soma, a mod that probably turns off the enemy targeting. In which case, I think the game would be just as good without that. You know what I mean? Because it's really not about the fact that you're being chased. It really is about the atmosphere. And so I think even if there was some kind of like enemy don't look at me mod, you know what I mean? I think it would still be very scary. Like even in Soma, playing it with the enemy AI turned off, I still found it very scary because they would still sort of follow you around anyway. Mm-hmm. It was like even more unsettling with those monsters there, than if they were chasing you. So I think A Machine for Pigs comes from a very similar thing of, it can be scary just to have those things in it because it's really not about them or really about them chasing you. It's just kind of that you are existing in this space with them. Right. So I would, if you can do that, I would recommend it because it does have some very good and interesting storytelling. I don't know if the payoff is worth it, but there's a lot of pieces that I keep going back to. Like, for some reason, I always remember this one. I think it was one of your like diary entries. You're kind of like keeping an ongoing diary, and it was something like, "We will build a new world from the bones of the old. Like, the flowers will splant from our rotten rib cages to prevent the sky from falling." And for some reason, that poetic. Was like the point where I was like, "Fuck yeah, this game rules." So anyway, yeah, it's a good game, and so I would recommend you play it. Well, and maybe turn the enemy AI off.
I'm a noted friend of the pigs, so I'm sure I will get along with the pigs in this game.
Well, you are inevitably helping the pigs in the long run.
It's
so
like
keep that in mind.
Did you ever see Okaja? I think Okaja on Netflix. No. Oh, well, that's another kind of pig game or thing, and it's a movie about this little girl in Asia. I want to say Japan or China, but I don't remember. Anyway, it's all about like industry and how they treat animals and stuff, and so it's like freeing the animals. It's the same thing as Amnesia's Machine for Pigs. Anyway, yes. I would play it, but before you play Amnesia, you need to play Bloodborne. You need to do it. It needs to happen.
Okay, I'll make it happen.
So in this good new year, happy Lunar New Year to those listening, this year of the pig, we recommend you play some really awful games about pigs and some really nice ones too. There you go. I don't know what the animal of the year is next year, but I'm going to make us do this again, so for warning.
Might be rat. I don't remember. I can look it up.
Perfect! I'm going to talk about Dishonored for 6 hours. Let's do it. All right.
A quick Google search has confirmed that it is a rat.
Perfect.
For next year.
Perfect. We're going to talk about Dishonored for 6 hours. Let's go.
Anyway.
There we go. We could talk about Thief, too. Anyway, would you guys say that it is time for some salutations?
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. Our salutations, if you are just listening, and because sometimes we forget to do them, our salutations is where we, the members of the Greetings From podcast, take a second to shout out some things that we're enjoying. Whether they can be video game related, they don't have to be video game related. I think we tried to make them video game related at the start, and we very may well end up with them just being like a really nice pair of socks we bought on Amazon. So, for today's salutations, Olivia, will you get us started?
As you may have heard about the Fyre festival that happened, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago. I went and watched the Hulu documentary and then immediately watched the Netflix documentary after. So it was like it was like a 4-hour experience for me of just being like immersing myself in like shitty millennial and like VC culture. And I love those two documentaries. I feel like the Hulu one leans a lot on like the like B-roll stock imagery and like what is an influencer, kind of like a general, it pulls a lot of inferences about like culture and millennial culture that I don't think really apply to like, people who aren't uber wealthy, but I definitely think they're both worth a read. Have you guys, either of you watched the documentaries?
So I've seen the Netflix.
You have?
I've seen the Netflix. I haven't seen the Hulu. As far as I understand it, the Hulu in comparison to Netflix focuses more. Netflix is the Vice documentary that was made, whereas the Hulu is more of like the outsider's perspective, and it's more technical in a way, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So what would you, can you highlight like what the differences between the Hulu and the Netflix one is? Because I've only seen the Netflix one, and which is it's fucking batshit crazy. But
yeah, and I think I need to point out too that the Netflix one is like made in partnership with like the Fuck Jerry company, who is like complicit in like all of the stuff that happened at the Fyre Festival.
Yes.
I would say the Netflix story has like access to some of like the clips that like the Fyre Festival themselves shot. Like they go into, you know, how the promo marketing video is made and like talk to other members of the team. The Hulu one has like the guy who was Billy, I can't remember his last name, but he's like the guy who was like responsible for all the fraud, and like they interview him, and it's like a very the Jinx like moment where they're like interviewing him, and it's like similar to that Robert Durst moment where he's like, you can just tell that, like, see the gears working in his head, and he's just like, man, you're such a fucking liar. So I think they're both like give a different perspective. The Netflix one does have the story about the guy willing to suck a dick to get some water through the customs, which is like,
believe that. And he was like, I got my wash, I drove down, and I was like, okay, listen, this is it. And the guys, the I guess, should we even talk about this?
I think we should let people like just go experience it on their own, because it's like an amazing little bit that it's horrible, and it's horrid that this guy was put in that position.
When that happened, I was like, I got goosebumps. Like, I lost my mind. Like, I just couldn't. That's it. I was a white girl. I just could not. So
yeah, it's definitely like the whole thing is just like insane, and like the people who got fucked over and didn't get paid, and like their whole like livelihood was destroyed. Awful. That's horrible as well. Yeah, so those people should be taken to task for the shit they pulled. And like I was talking about before with like the startup culture mentality, I just like was getting those vibes from like working at that previous job, that I was like, oh man, I could see how this could happen. Like at multiple places that were just in over their head, and also like extreme liars. So it's a good like insight into that world. Rebecca, what was your salutation for this week?
So my salutation for this week is in light of the fact that I did not force you to tell me about your favorite dating game. I have chosen one of my favorite dating games to salute. It is Speed Dating for Ghosts. This came out last year. It was created by Ben Galinas, who you may or may not know. He used to be at BioWare. He's now working on Control. And Speed Dating for Ghosts is about speed dating ghosts. It's great. It's really cute. It's not very long. The ghosts are all very interesting. It goes places for being a very short little game. I think the artist and I are friends on Twitter. So what's up, Mikey? I don't know why we're friends on Twitter, but hey, anyway. Yeah, I really recommend it. I still think about it a lot. I feel like I don't know. It has like a really interesting presence to it, and I think it kind of handles the dating genre in a way that is not very tropey, I guess. I don't know. It came out, I feel like, a little bit in the wake of sort of Dream Daddy and that kind of a thing. So anyway, if you're looking for love in all the wrong places this Valentine's Day, please check out Speed Dating for Ghosts. It's great, and I think everybody will love it. Have you guys played it?
Yes. Well, so remember, I've played it, and I've only done like one date. Or no, I've done like 3 dates. So I've only done maybe 1/3 of it. I haven't done all the dates yet.
Oh, did you do one room of dates?
Yeah, well, I did one room. I did the outside trellis rose garden, I think. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, okay. But it was outside. It was dark. And let me tell you, like, that game fucking scared me too. And it's not even supposed to be scary, but it scared me just once. Just once.
I know exactly which of the times of which you were talking about, too. There was one, like, very scary moment in that, which I wasn't expecting.
I was like, oh my gosh, really? But no, it was cute, it was fun, and it told really good stories. Like, I really enjoyed my time with that game. I should probably, now that it's been literally a year since I played it, I should play it again and, like, finish it and see what the other characters' stories are, so...
I watched a video of some of the dates, like just like a quick look or something, and I don't know why I heard the name and I was like a little bit like a twee, like all the ghosts are really cute, and then I watched the videos, like they are not, like they're adorable in their own way, but they're also like a little bit horrific, and I can respect that they're committing to that aesthetic. Like that's really good. So
I will say if you're looking for a twee monster fucking experience, as many of us are, especially me, I would recommend Monster Prom. That's like really super adorable and very much like this was written by millennials. The dialogue. I mean, so just putting that out.
I want to fuck a horrific ghost or no ghost at all. God damn it.
Sorry. We either get horrific ghosts or really cute ones. There's no in between. We're just like the average looking ghosts. Just
Where's our Dandy
wondering,
Phantom?
Because yeah, God, I remember Danny Phantom. That was good shit.
Anyway.
Oh,
Yep.
Tyler, tell me.
Have you?
What is
so
your
my
salutation?
My salutation is called Russian Doll, and it's on Netflix. It's a TV show, 30 minutes. Stars Natasha Lyonne, which she's a phenomenal actor, but she's probably most recently known for her role in Orange is the New Black. And it also stars Charlie Barnett, who was in Private Romeo, which is a gay cinema film. It's Romeo and Juliet, but with an all-boys military, facility. Anyway, these two really good actors. Russian Doll is about Natasha Lyonne. It's her birthday. She's at her birthday party, and the evening plays out. She is quite the character. That's funny. She's a game designer. But that's not super important. She's like if punk rockers grew up and like had a stable job and like a life with friends in New York. Anyway, she dies at the end of the night, only to then be reset or woken up again at her birthday party. And she's like, what the fuck happened? Because she remembers being hit by a car. And this is all within the first episode, so it's not like so spoiling something super. So the whole premises of the show is why is she stuck in this loop. It's a little bit, it's like Groundhog Day in a way, but it's totally not. And there's only like 8 episodes. You could literally watch this in like 4 hours if you wanted to. So it's very binge worthy, and it's just really well done. The cinematography is really well done. The writing is phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal. It's this really weird sci-fi modern story that it tells, and it's about life and death and regrets and I don't know. It is a really, really good, really short TV show. I hope there's more of it, but it's on Netflix, and you guys should really watch it, or at least the first episode, so you can know what I'm talking about. But it's phenomenal. That would be my waypoint for this episode.
Salutation.
Salutation. I'm not on Waypoint. I'm not part of the Waypoint crew. This is my salutation. Don't come for us.
I have heard Russian Doll is very good. A lot of people have told me you have to watch it, so I'm gonna have to watch it this weekend. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, it did a really good job of subverting your expectations of what was going to happen, because it's comedy drama, but it's also like a mystery. It's almost like a detective story too, because you're like, what is going on here? Because she's trying to figure out what's going on. Why can't she die? Essentially, right? Like she keeps getting reset. Anytime she dies, and it's just a weird take on stuff. So you should watch it. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it.
Cool. I'm excited. I'll check it out.
Yes. What's your salutation?
That's
right. Olivia.
I'll tell you again.
Olivia. Wait, no, that was the last one. What am I doing? My brain is fried. Whatever, it's fine. You know what?
You were the last one, but it's not over yet, my friends, because we received our first mailbag question. It's time for the mailbag, y'all. You can send us questions at greetingsfromcast@gmail.com. I'm very excited to share our very first cast, and I hope you have your thinking caps on. This question comes into us from our good pal Boots. So hello to Boots. He is an active person in our Discord. So hello.
Hi, Boots.
Boots says, hello, greetings from cast. That's us. I wanted to know, if each of you were given a blank check to make your dream game, what kind of game would it be, and what studio would you hire to make it?
Can I go first? Because I have.
Of course you can. Please tell me. I'm excited that you already have an answer prepared.
Oh yeah, I thought about this. So, if I was given a check for my dream game, it would be sci-fi horror, and it would be set in Antarctica. We would be doing kind of like a homage to The Thing. It would involve drilling like for cores. And who knows what happens? Mm-hmm. It's frozen ice, prehistoric age. Who knows? Anyway, it would be that. It would be a sci-fi horror. I don't know if it's going to be survival or if it's going to be shooter. Like, I'm thinking I would love it to be a sort of a mix between Amnesia. It's funny we brought up Amnesia, but it'd be a mix between Amnesia and like Dead Space.
Okay, yeah.
And it would be made by FromSoft.
Interesting.
Yes, I would like.
It's bad because
Well, I just feel like FromSoft, they have those really great great like enemy design. They have really great creature designs. So I feel like not only would they be able to like create these really horrific entities within the game, but then they could also pull together and execute a horror, style of gameplay, because they're very good at world building, and a horror game is all about the environment. So I feel like they could pull it off. It might not be necessarily like the scariest game out there, but it would definitely be something that holds tension, and I feel like they could pull it off. And I would totally, if I had the money, could write that check. And that's what would be my game. So
I would play that for sure.
Have you guys played The Thing, like Xbox One, like Xbox original, The Thing game?
Well, there are a few Thing games out. There's definitely the one you're talking about, and then there's this co-op Thing game that came out recently. I think back in like 2015 or something.
Gotcha.
Have you heard of
that
it?
Original? I just remember that original game being like pretty effective and like a weird survival sim kind of thing. So it's definitely one of those games that I remember playing, and it's like a fever dream of like I rented this game and played it, and it was actually amazing, but I never went back to it.
I don't think
something to think about.
I don't think I actually played that one. Was this when the new Thing came out, or
no? This is like 2007.
Old game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like 12, maybe 2006 even. It's an old janky ass original Xbox game that I have like a weird like love for. So I'm actually gonna figure that game out again. So I have an answer if nobody else wants to go.
Please tell me what the answer is.
So I gave some thought to this. You guys know that like Metal Gear Solid game? You heard of that before?
No, what is that?
Yeah, I've never heard of this game before. It must be brand new.
So yeah, imagine like there's this super soldier, Solid Snake, and he's got to go take down his own mentor, and then he dies, and his brother is a clone. So imagine that story without Kojima's involvement, but told by Campo Santo.
What? Oh my god!
That would be so good.
I want a reimagining of like what like the family dynamics of.
You know what? You know what? That's good. That is really good.
That's a really good one.
I like that.
And my other stipulation was it has to have the food tech from Final Fantasy 15. So whenever Sunny shows us how to like fry an egg or whatever, I want it to look amazing. I want it to be the best looking egg I've ever seen in my life.
Is there going to be someone in the game who like walks around and goes like, aha, and like has a new recipe like they do in Final Fantasy as well?
I hope so. I'm leaving this in Campo Santo's like well.
I think they could do it.
They can handle this.
They could do it.
Yeah, and there'll be no shooting in this game, and it'll be an open world game. That's
perfect.
I just basically want them to take Firewatch, God, and just transplant, like just see how that works in the Metal Gear universe. I think that'd be really good.
That would be the biggest game they've ever created, I think.
Yeah, I mean they got that Valve money now, so they don't even need my money to make this. Free idea, guys. Just go do it. Rebecca, what would be your ideal game?
Mine is not anywhere near as good as yours, so now I'm almost embarrassed. I will say, just to preface this, that after hearing Tyler's answer, I would like to see Lego Rock Raiders reimagined by FromSoftware. That's never going to happen, but anyway, just putting that out there for all my many 2 Lego Rock Raiders fans out there. Yeah, there's dozens of us. Yeah, so mine is not as interesting. I love walking simulators, as everyone knows. I love story-driven games, as everyone knows. I also love big RPGs, as everyone knows. And I also love games with dating, as everyone knows. So here's what I want. I want a fantasy RPG. I don't really care what the fantasy is. I'm not very particular. I've been playing a little of Dragon's Dogma lately, so this is sort of what has inspired it. So I want that, and I want it to be in the Red Dead 2 engine with the graphics, and I want it to be written by, like, Chris Avellone and everyone that wrote Dragon Age Origins. Yes. And I want there to be no combat, and open world, and dating. I want to be, like, an NPC in a fantasy game. I just want to be, like, able to, like... I want it to be also Animal Crossing, so I could just, like, make friends with people and run a store.
Yeah.
That's it. I want to be an NPC in a Skyrim.
Give us that game. I would love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't come out of it is the problem. Like, I think I would spend too much time.
Would you run a shop?
Making friends with all my neighbors. I would say what I would like is if you could choose, because, so as an example, the random start mod for Skyrim I thought was really interesting, because basically instead of it being like, you are a prisoner, as you are in every, Elder Scrolls game, and here you walk into this world-ending cataclysm of which you are the only person who can save. Instead, it's like, it puts you in a different part of the world, sort of reimagining you as, like, a woodsman, or, like, a ranger, or a guard, or whatever, and then it's sort of up to you as to whether or not you're going to stumble on Helgen and, like, start the main story quest, or just... not do that at all and just live in the world kind of as a random person. So that sort of design concept to me would be interesting. So you could kind of choose what you wanted to do. Maybe you can, and I want to say that I think Kingdom Come Deliverance tried to do this, but you can sort of choose who you want to be, right? So maybe you get to choose sort of what your starting situation is, where you start, how much money you start with, your family, that kind of a thing, and then that would sort of determine the ease into which you could fall into being like a merchant, or if you just want to be like a hunter, or you just really want to get into magic and shit. I don't really care. It's up to you. This is your world. I think I just want to LARP. Is basically what I'm saying.
Want to LARP in a 3D space.
I just want to LARP.
Will it have the Dragon's Dogma, like, climbing mechanics? Like, where you can just kind of climb on every monster? Or cow?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be interesting, especially if there was no combat. I feel like if there's no climbing, but then I feel like you also need the sort of Breath of the Wild, like...
Oh, fuck.
Like, flying off of stuff system, because, I mean, that would just be required.
Yo, I gotta change my answer. Just give me Breath of the Wild 2, actually. Just give me the same
so you would,
game in a new world.
So you would oversee Breath of the Wild 2 development?
Yes, and it would have the food from Final Fantasy 14.
It would just,
15.
It's just Breath of the Wild with better food. Because the food in that game already looks good.
Please make Cass romanceable, please. Thank you.
Please romance Cass.
With dating, and I want to watch Link.
With dating.
Let Link and Cass fuck. That's all I gotta say.
Yes.
All I gotta say.
Yep. So anyway, you're welcome, gaming. We fixed all your problems. All you need is more of the shit that everybody complains about, such as romances, diversity.
Fucking.
Just fucking. So, at the close of this very good podcast, I believe that we can say, greetings from endorses fucking, and also says, fuck capitalism.
That'll get us sponsors.
This has been the Greetings From podcast. We don't need them. You can find us wherever podcasts are hosted, such as Apple Podcasts, Simplecast, Spotify, and others. Send your questions, as I said before. Please send them. Thank you, Boots. To greetingsfromcast@gmail.com. You can visit us on the web at greetingsfrom.zone or read our blog at blog.greetingsfrom.zone. That one made sense. You can also follow us on Twitter at greetingsfrompc. My name is Rebecca Faye. You can find me at Rebecca Faye. It's very easy. Olivia, where can they find you?
On Twitch and Twitter at LiveJQ.
Tyler.
Find me at World Jumpin'.
Perfect. Fuck capitalism. Long live the proletariat.
Thanks for listening to Greetings From. Our intro and outro song is an edited version of Deep Fried Space Food by Substitute Sandwiches. You can find a link to the song in the podcast description. You can listen to more episodes of Greetings From at greetingsfrom.zone. We are on Twitter and Twitch at greetingsfrompc. Please do follow us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.